Hi everybody. Thank you so much for coming today to learn a little bit about what us Wattle Fellows have been getting up to. Your presence today shows a true commitment to sustainability and supporting young people, and I think that's a really powerful statement in and of itself. My name is Darcy and I grew up on the Mornington Peninsula on Bunurong country, but my mob are the Gunai Kurnai people. I study geography, politics and Russian, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of the Wattle Fellowship. Today, I would like to talk to you a little bit about country and the power of teaching Indigenous worldviews. But before I do so, I too would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations. And I would also like to acknowledge that First Nations people around the world have known sustainability since the beginning of time. The idea of country may be new to some of you in the room today. At some point, I will get to that, but for now, since I'm constantly surrounded by young people, I thought we'd play a game of Spot the Difference. So we have, on the left, 5 critical incentives that could protect nature and the climate, and what Indigenous knowledge has to offer from droughts to floods. Now, this is a bit of a trick question. It's not really a spot the difference. Fundamentally, these are the same things. Fundamentally, both of these news articles follow a problematic train of thought whereby sustainability needs to be incentivised for the personal gain of an individual according to a very neoliberal way of thinking. We all know that Indigenous knowledges are becoming more mainstream in the education system. However, what is still so often missing from the teaching of Indigenous knowledges is a holistic understanding and the idea of reciprocity, such as with this real quote. This is where teaching about country comes into play. Country taught properly introduces young people to an alternate worldview, whereby everything is connected and holistic. Caring for country is about looking after everything, including the whole ecosystem, your family, language, and culture. When country is healthy, we are healthy. But what's most important is we don't do this with selfish intent. So, when we see educators saying that all Indigenous knowledges relate to sustainability, they are correct. But this isn't a bad thing. My project is about introducing young people to a worldview which challenges dominant assumptions. For example, I introduced the idea that people in the environment are inseparable and are one. To do so, I think it's vital that we immerse young people in the environment. Because how can we ask people to care for something if they don't understand it? This is why my workshops are designed to be taught outside of the classroom. The need for this became evident to me when one day I was teaching Indigenous astronomy. One of the questions I asked the students was, why should we care for the stars? Why should we prevent light pollution? I was met with some very confused faces. One student said, the stars don't matter, they are just something pretty to look at. After inquiring further, I began to realise that none of these students have ever actually seen more than 2 to 3 stars in the night sky, being from the city. So how can I ask these young people to care for sky country when they've never actually seen or felt its beauty and heard its stories? This is why it's so integral that we take every opportunity to educate students about country in nature. It is so important that we build that connection to the natural world for future generations so that they can become our next environmental leaders. These images here show some of the ways that we can teach the idea of country and a holistic worldview. In the top left, we have an eel trap, and in the bottom right, Martu cultural burning. The Martu people burn country to hunt, but also to promote the growth of fresh native grasses. This burning reduces net carbon emissions and also creates new habitat for animals. Here we see that all these elements are relational, not to humans but to one another. It's this idea that is so important to get across. We care for country simply because it is family, and our family is also country. Before moving on to a couple photos of my project, I want to end my discussion with this quote. This is the message I try to leave with students, because understanding the reciprocity that goes into caring for country will take them a long way in the future and give them an alternate worldview to apply to their lives. Hopefully, through the delivery of these workshops, students can feel the power of country and begin to understand their role in caring for it. These are some of the images from my workshop, and I initially wanted to show this image to show how many people signed up, and the students were like running over to put their name down, but then I realised I probably actually can't reveal their name, so I blurred it. So it doesn't really have the same effect, but you get the idea. And then these are some images from my workshop in Malakuta with MLC. And yeah, I just wanted to take the time to say thank you to the Wattle Fellowship and all the fellows. It's been an amazing experience. To my friends and family, and also to my colleagues at Murabrak and Science Gallery, including Mel, Alina, Matt, and Vaz, who are all here today. Thank you.